What's the most real paranormal story you know? Welcome back to Scary Stories with Vic. Let's go dive into this little thread this on Reddit of real paranormal experiences. Each story is pretty short, but they do spook. So let's hop on in. This is from Mother of Zombies. When I was a teen, my mother walked in my room, turned off my boombox, and walked out. Very strange. So I go after her to see what's up, and she's nowhere on the stairs. I look for her, and she's having a seizure in the kitchen. There was a decent size pool of from where she hit her head, too. No way she could have gotten there, even if she sprinted. Wigged me out. So in the hospital, I tell her. She got really quiet for a bit, then told me she had no memory from that whole day except from the floor she could see me standing at the kitchen entryway. Then I passed myself into the kitchen. She has no other memory until waking up in the hospital a couple of days later. Decades later, I was dozing off in her hospice room. I thought I woke up to her by my chair, hand on my shoulder, telling me to take my dad to get some pie and coffee across the street. Then I actually woke up. It was so disoriented. I figured dad needs food and some air, so I convinced him to go. When we walked back into hospice, her nurse came up and told us that she had passed. I think my mom wanted my dad out there so she could go on. Wow. I have a story that's of my own that's kind of similar to that. And I definitely know how that feels. It's like you're in awe, but also, you're losing someone. So it's very hard. Our next story is from Zaltz. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll spell it here Xalts. He says, in my dad's childhood house, he used to see a woman dressed in white carrying a candelabra. As he grew up, he chalked it up to childhood imagination. Years later, he overheard a woman at his job describing a ghost she saw in her house, a woman dressed in white carrying a candelabra. He asked where she lived, and it was the same house he grew up in. Spooky. Best way to confirm that you saw a ghost is if someone who doesn't even know you can confirm. Our next story is from Black Cat 211. I was 19 and living at home. I woke up one night and see these huge, it was almost reaching the ceiling, black hooded thing. It was just standing there next to my wardrobe. I froze and stayed in bed, too scared to move. I was there for about 10 seconds before it just vanished. I had nightmares for weeks with that thing in it. Fast forward 15 years, my younger sister, who has had my old room for years, asked me if I'd ever seen anything weird in the bedroom and tells me about the hooded thing that she had seen. I never told anybody about what I saw, especially not my sister, who was only 4 at the time. That makes me think about the Stern stuff. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but so many people have been seeing things since they turned it was either on or off. Now people are seeing things in their peripherals, things that when you look aren't there. And I think that is incredibly spooky. This next person, their name is deleted. Phew. Okay. My cousin and I recalled experience at her grandmother's house that I had blocked out of my mind. Her grandmother was bedridden at the time and the only one living in the house. We were laying in bed watching a show. Bedroom door was cracked. We could hear her grandma snoring lightly. Her room was only separated from ours by the bathroom. I get sick to my stomach thinking about this next part. We started hearing footsteps in the hall. We immediately thought her grandma had gotten out of bed, but we still could hear her snoring. The footsteps were slow and heavy, then got closer. I was truly paralyzed with fear. My cousin sidestepped to the door and quickly closed it with a fully outstretched arm. When we told my aunt the next day, she said, yeah, imagine how I felt growing up there. They won't hurt you. We had heard stories of the house being haunted, but that was our only firsthand experience. Truly terrifying. It's always the footsteps. Footsteps get me. Even in the movie Paranormal Activity, being able to visibly see the powdered feet of the demon walking, I've been asleep for days. Slept with the lights on. This next story is from Chrysochola. Y'all don't judge me for these pronunciations. Sorry. Big words for elbow. This writer wrote in, it was in my old apartment right before I moved out. My friend was staying over. I was on my phone at the moment. She got up and left somewhere. The corner of my eye, I saw her entering my room. When she came back, she asked me why did I wanted to scare her. I was confused because I never left the room. She told me she was washing hands and she saw someone standing behind her in the mirror, but when she turned around, no one was there. I asked her what she was doing in the room, and she told me she wasn't there. Next day, another friend was staying over. She couldn't sleep all night and cried because someone was running around the apartment, laughing. My dog was growling at the door, and she heard an old lady crying. Thank God I slept like a baby and didn't have to witness that. The next night, I was alone and I could hear long nails tapping inside of the closet and heavy breathing. Yeah, thank God I moved away. Yeah, I would be moving immediately. From what they say, especially if they do the three taps thing and it's around 3 o'clock. Go. This is No Garbage Allowed, their story. The most compelling paranormal experience I ever had was when my older sister had visions of the future. Three of us sisters were playing in the kitchen while my dad was away hunting. My older sister screamed suddenly, staring in shock. Younger sis and I was wondering what was wrong. She said she saw a massive whitish column moving toward her. Not like an apparition, she had a vivid peripheral hallucination, the way many often do. But this is one was uniquely powerful. We kept playing. 10 minutes later, she screamed again. This time, she thought our dad had entered the room wearing an oddly greenish shirt. It was weird, and we made a point to cherish the spookiness of this evening. The next day, our dad was still away. My sisters were poking around in an old closet and found a large white sack. It was unusually large, maybe 9 to 10 feet long, made of a tight hamper like netting and shaped like a sleeping bag. It was so bizarre. It spurred my younger sister to climb inside and chase older sister around the house. They found me in the kitchen where younger sis lunged toward both of us, still wearing the sack. We instantly noticed it was precisely the positioning of yesterday's hallucination. Mysterious, massive, lunging white column in the same damn place. We lost our shit. We were already superstitious by the time our dad got home. When we walked in the room wearing an oddly greenish tee, we couldn't help but chuckle to each other. It was extremely strange and served to fuel some pretty unhealthy delusions we were experiencing at the time. But those coincidences were so intense, I will never forget. That is wild. And I also have premonitions, type of dreams that I remember very vividly, and then they have happened in real life. My grandmother, she was Cuban, and she always said all the time that she had premonitions. She could see the future. Of course, I believed her as a young girl who loved their grandmother. I always thought it was so strange when those moments do happen. It's not often, especially anymore, but as a kid, it happened all the time. So that's very mysterious. So that was a few spooky stories. I really like doing that. Tell me what y'all think of this video, and like, share, repost, comment, all the fun things to help us reach more people and get some true spooky stories in my email. If you would like for me to read your story aloud, send your emails to scarystories.withvic@gmail.com. And I hope you guys sleep good tonight. Bye.